Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Not Quite Monday assessment by the view from the Medway Fancast, sponsored by Snodhurst Used Car Sales and Service Station and Wicked Creative, and in partnership with Sports Social Podcast Network and Her Game 2. Well, the optimism isn't so high this evening, much like our goal difference. If you're joining us after last night, congratulations. You survived watching Gillingham 1, MK Dons 5 at Priestfield. Therapy sessions will be billed separately. Technically, the game started quite well. There was a chance early on for said Palmer Holden, and for a brief glorious moment, we thought, here we go, tonight's the night. 15 minutes later, Alex Gilby scored for MK Dons, and that was the moment the evening politely excused itself and left the building. By the 26th minute, it was 2-0 after Gethin Jones scored his first goal for MK Dons. Always nice when an opposition player chooses Priestfield to tick off a career milestone. Then Marvin Ep34 made it 3 before half-time, which means the half-time team talk probably involved the words pride, shape and does anyone know how to defend a set piece. The second half started exactly how Gillingham fans feared, with MK Dons scoring again. Ben Wiles tucked away a rebound after Jake Turner could only parry the shot, which at that point felt like a football match. Less of a football match and more like a live demonstration of clinical finishing. To be fair, we did pull one back. Seb Palmer Holden headed home on the 77th minute after Sam Vokes' effort was blocked on the line. The crowd celebrated, even though the scoreline looked like a rugby result. And just when you thought the evening couldn't get any more Gillingham, Liam Kelly added a fifth in the 87th minute, calmly slotting home into an empty net, because of course he did. So the final score, Gillingham 1, MK Dons 5. 5 different scorers for them, one consolidation for us, and just over 4,700 people at Priestfield collectively wondering why Tuesday nights exist. But don't worry, we'll pick through the rubble, question the tactics, blame the referee for something, and somehow convince ourselves that next week will definitely be better. Who am I kidding? Right, let's get into it. I'm joined this evening, Mr. Warren Taylor. I'm joined by Colin Creasy, and I'm joined by Ollie Weeks at Weeks Football Fine. So how are we, gents? We doing good?
Yeah, I'm happy as Larry, mate.
Yeah.
Better than 24 hours ago.
I've had a great day of my passengers coming through the station and my fellow members of staff taking the mickey out of me somewhat the whole shift. It was fantastic.
Yeah, and that's just what he gets at home.
No, my saving grace was Tottenham losing 5-2, so that was all right.
There you go. And Colin, yourself, mate, how has your day been?
Yeah, just thinking about what I'm going to say positive tonight, trying to think back 24 hours to think, did I really watch that? Yeah, not too bad. It's my birthday tomorrow, so I've got to be on a bit of an up anyway.
There we go. It's not every day you turn 80.
Yeah, I still get them at my age.
And Ollie, yourself, mate, how's your day been? Obviously, how's your recovery going as well, mate? Because obviously you've had your leg in bits lately.
Yeah, well, not great after yesterday. Obviously, I can't drive at the moment, so I had to try and find my way to get to Medway. I'm from Sussex, so it cost me about £100 in Ubers to make sure I got home. Yeah, I spent £100 on that last night for reference.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Well, if it were for the season ticket, I probably wouldn't have spent 25, but you know, we have to do these things, don't we? So before we get into the MK Dons game, I just want to go with each of you and a 3-worded answer for the Fleetwood game. So Warren, I'll start with you.
Still very poor.
Yeah. Colin?
An unlikely point.
There we go. And Ollie, yourself?
Can't pass ball.
There we go. So we will get into the lineup and then we'll get into the game. So we had Jake Turner in goal. We then had a back four of Ramar Hutton, Andy Smith, Shadowgi and Max Clark. With Ewan Williams, Ethan Coleman and Johnny Williams in front of them. 2 wingers in the shape of Seb Palmer Holden and Aaron Rowe, with Ronan Hale up front. Ollie, I'll go with you, mate. Your thoughts when the lineups come out at 6:30?
Well, no leadership at central defence and a real lack of physicality in the middle. And I just then compared it to the MK Dons lineup, and we could see it coming, couldn't you? I think we could all see it coming.
Yeah. And Colin, I'll go with you. Bex has put happy birthday for tomorrow, Colin. Obviously,
thank you.
It's not every day you turn 80. So yeah, your thoughts on the lineup when they come out at 6:30, mate?
Well, it was basically Ogie, the two Williams were part of the. Chelsea had a name for them when they kicked them out to the youth team, didn't they? Never to be seen again. And I thought those three were part of that little clique that had been blackballed by the club, never to be seen again. And lo and behold, here they are starting. And when you saw the subs bench with the two kids on it, you knew that there'd either been a massive row in the changing room or there was a lot of injuries. Yeah. Might be a bit of both, I think.
Yeah, I don't think it's the latter, but personally, I think, you know, we're trying to make do with what we've got at the moment, and, you know, what we've got, I'm not going to say aren't all good enough. I think some of them are, but I don't think a lot of them are. But Warren, I'll go with you, mate, and your thoughts on the lineup.
Well, in the morning, as you know, Chris, I was quite banging a drum of 1-0 victory. I felt something in my water. And then at 6:30, the team was announced. And I was in this sturdy club, and we do a sweepstake before every game and a score. I was going to do 1-0, and I saw the team announced, and I immediately went 4-0 to MK Dons. And let's be honest, we even messed that up.
Yeah, there was two more goals scored there, mate. So you missed a little bit.
Oh, ridiculous! Does it count that I left at 4-0? So that should be the result.
Do you know what I think me and you said to each other at half time? I was like, I think it was, I walked up the stairs and I said to you on the way up, and I was just like, I'm going to go home in a minute. I ended up staying till they scored their fifth, but yeah, I'm glad you stayed until they scored their fourth. At least you didn't miss much. Well, you didn't miss much anyway, but yeah. So we get on to the game itself, and that is the end of the show. So good night, everyone. So Warren, I'll go with you and your overall thoughts on the show, on the game, mate. Really, it was, for me, it was. I said at half time, I think I put something on X, and I just said, look, I can take losing against a team that's second in the league. The thing for me is that there was no heart. No one was trying to do anything, and it was just dross, mate, wasn't it?
I think that's the best example I've seen that stats lie, right? And that stats are a complete waste of time, apart from the scoreline. I'm not going to call out any individuals. I'm not like that. But as a team, when I see players go up for a header and turn away from it, hits their shoulder and goes off for a throw. When I see players not going in for tackles. When I see people throwing themselves on the floor because it looks good. When I see players not tracking back and not being aware of people behind them or in front of them. When I see players that can't pass the ball 10 yards, right? It's beyond me how we're playing these people. It's totally beyond me. I just even MK Dons had 5 players out.
Yeah.
And five of their best players. And we still got hammered 5-1. The team sheet as it was, it looked weak. We looked very small in stature with playing certain players. There was no height. There was no leadership. There was nothing. You had 2 players moaning about Ainsworth when they come out at half time. And there was nothing about that team that I liked last night. All I can say is that the game against Fleetwood, at least we tried. I'll give the lads that. We tried. Right? We weren't good enough, and we should have got beat, but we tried. Last night, I saw players shirking, and I won't have that. I really won't have that. I'm quite happy to leave with half hour to go, if players are shirking the small bits, tackling, heading, competing, passing, it was horrendous. How the hell we got 187 accurate passes is beyond me. Right? I don't get it.
Yeah.
Who's adding these totals up?
Well, I will caveat that by saying it wasn't me. It was most definitely Foot Mob. So yeah, you can go to them guys for it. They're quite good with their stats, though. To be fair, they're not good with their player ratings, but they're good with their stats. So yeah, but you can go to them for that one.
Honestly, it was so poor last night. I've never felt so down as a Gillingham fan as I did last night.
Really?
Not since 1980 when we lost 5-1 at home to Exeter City when Tony Kello got a hat-trick. And there was nothing in that team that I liked at all. I can't give a positive. I couldn't give a man of the match. Couldn't do anything, right, to say anything positive about last night.
Yeah. And Ollie, I'll go with you, mate, because we did speak last night, all of us, and I just said, we won't be doing a man of the match for this game because, for me, I don't feel that anyone deserved a man of the match because there was no one standout. There was no. Well, they were all pretty bad, to be fair. So I'll go with you, mate. And what do you think the fundamental issue is at the moment? Obviously, Gareth has said, and we will get onto that in a little while about his press conference after the game. But do you think it's the attitude of players, or do you think, it is the injuries, or what is it that you think is the problem? Why we've gone from this 21-game unbeaten run, started the season really well, and now we're back to February, March time, and the season's over. That and your overview of the game.
Yeah, I think part of the season they were really working hard, weren't they? And we were probably getting points in games where we probably didn't deserve to. Ainsworth has this tactic of sort of territory football, doesn't he? Of channel balls, trying to get up the pitch a little bit. And I think we've been found out by a lot of clubs that have ended up gelling 2 or 3 months into the season and then just ripped us up, like MK Dons, for example. I am now starting to question the tactics because I can't see a set pattern of play. I don't understand what we're trying to do. If, yesterday we significant a height on the pitch and yet we were still just booming it. And then I think, well, maybe they can't play then, So I am starting to question the tactics quite a lot. Obviously, they are hit by injuries. That is obvious. I know there's a lot of real senior players out there, but these are professional footballers. And then you've got them with their balls rolling over their foot. You've got them just cutting across clearances and going out for throws, heading it like a 50p head off the pitch. These are professional footballers. They can make errors, but not 5 or 6 errors each in a game. Hutton played the ball across the pitch twice. The Clark did the same thing twice and gave him a chance. It was comical stuff. But I can't put my finger on what it is that's gone wrong. But I would say that we've been found out. I think that's my answer. We've been found out by other teams' quality and other teams having a set way of playing. That's what we're trying to do every time we line up.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, mate. Thank you very much. And Colin, yourself, do you think that we've been found out, or do you think that we're just the quality that we have within the squad isn't good enough? Therefore, you're, as a collective, I'm not talking about individuals. I don't want individual names. We're talking about as a collective. We are just, we're very happy as a squad to start the season on fire. 10, 15 games in, we're fine. Well, 10 games generally. And then we just fall off the pace a little bit. And do you think that it's been the last 2 or 3 seasons, mate, where we started well and we get to October and we fall apart? So do you think that it's a quality thing, or do you think it's a confidence thing, that as well as your overview of the game?
Well, I must admit, I've spoken a lot to people about this starting well and then fading away. And I must admit, I haven't got a clue why that's happened for 3 seasons now, with 3 basically different sets of players. I can't put my finger on that. But if our players, are they good enough? I think most of our players you could put individually into that MK Dons team, and it wouldn't affect MK Dons. The problem is when you've got a whole glut of players, as Gillingham have managed to get over the last few years, who are basically, and I wish I could have been, but they're just average second division players, League Two players. And that's not to denigrate them, because I'd love to have been one. I'd love to have spent the first 15, 20 years of my working life playing League Two football. But the problem is we've arrived at what we've purchased and what we've signed over the last few years. And that's basically, it's a League Two team. It's the quality of recruitment, and I don't know whether we're going to get on that later. But there's not those standout players. We get to a game and we look at the team and you never think, oh God, he's not playing, because they're just a group of 20 players. And I do feel that they try, because it's very hard to quantify trying. Warren will remember, like me, we can go back to the 70s and 80s, and all the top players in the 70s and 80s, you'd never have said they were great triers. The likes of Marsh, Bowles, Curry, Hudson. They used to stroll round the pitch for 90 minutes, but they all had ability. And you can't have 11 triers out there if you haven't got any that have got ability, because you can only run so much. When you've got the ball, you need to do something with it. And unfortunately, they haven't got that. And it's getting to the stage now, and I think definitely last night, I think some of the players don't want the ball. I think some of those on the sub bench quite happily have sat on it for 90 minutes, because I don't think I'd wanted to have come on to the atmosphere, the way the game was played last night. It was, again, every season it starts getting toxic after Christmas, and it's happening again now. And there are some players thrive on confidence. And if you're not a confident player and you want geeing up and you come on and it's like it was last night, you will hide. Your head will go down. You'll lose that yard of pace. You'll lose that bit of anticipation that you've got. And I think it's got to the stage now where the fans have got to look at themselves as well, and not, that you're not fit to wear the shirt. I don't know what that even means, to be honest. But the players hear that and they think, well, we're doing our best, but the fans have got to take their share of the blame as well, I think. And you can't if your boss was standing over you at work slagging off everything you do, you wouldn't perform at a particularly high level. And that's basically what's happening now, I think. I agree with that. Sorry. They need some backing. They need some understanding. They've got a heavy injury list at the moment. It's not all to do with that. I have questions: substitutions, team selection, team formation. There's a lot of things wrong at the club at the moment.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and it kind of leads me on to what I was going to mention as well, because like last night, obviously I sit on the halfway line, and you had some idiots up in, I'm not going to name the block, but some idiots sitting there going, saying, oh, this football, Gareth Ainsworth, sacked in the morning, and sitting there turning around saying it's shit and go for 6, and, it's childish rubbish. These exact same people, to be fair, on Saturday were calling out Ched Evans saying, she said no, Ched. And, the bloke got cleared of it ages ago. These kids probably weren't even around when it happened, to be fair. So, and they think they're being hard men. Like, they probably don't go to any games, but away from Priestfield. But it's not needed at the moment. Yes, okay, we know, and there are ways of sitting here and talking about the game. There are ways of sitting here talking about well, not individuals, but talking about the team. But to sit there and chant the stuff that they were chanting last night to Gareth and to the players. Gareth says he gets it, but I honestly don't, mate. I really don't. Maybe when I was younger, I did it, but I think nearly 40 years old now. Like, at the end of the day, you have to get behind them, regardless of what you think of them. You just have to get behind them.
At the end of the day, the vast majority of those players aren't die-hard Gillingham fans themselves. They're guys who are going to a job, and their job is playing football.
Yeah.
You've got to understand it doesn't, no matter what they say to the cameras, it doesn't mean as much to them. And if someone's slagging you off for 90 minutes, you'll think, well, I'm going to look somewhere else at the end of the season.
Yeah.
You know, and you're going to get your attitude's going to go down, and
yeah,
you know,
I'll be honest with you, right? I've got no issue with people shouting that sort of stuff at the end. I haven't. People have a right to express their own opinion, but during the game, it's wrong. If you're that upset, do like I did and walk out before you start getting antsy and start giving players or manager abuse. Walk out. If it's not for you, don't go in the first place. Don't just walk out. But I can understand it at the end of the game, because at the end of the day, people are paying hard-earned money to go and watch a team try. And they want to see a team be able to pass the ball 10 yards. They want to see people go up for headers. They want to see people going for tackles. And if that's not happening, they're not getting their money's worth. And they're feeling that they get ripped off. So, although I don't agree with the rubbish during the game, right, at the end of the game, people can boo all they like if they haven't been entertained. I mean, I've been going on for years saying, when was the last game I actually was entertained at? Right? Where both teams went hell for leather. Probably Chesterfield home this season.
Yeah.
Scunthorpe when Josh Wright got hat-trick. There's not that many games that stand out in living memory as being great games, because unfortunately, where we've made football players like robots now, right, and we don't field your Currys, your Bests, your Marinellos and all those type of players, because players now got to be able to run 1.8 kilometres in sprints. And
oh God, Warren's going on with his stats again. Everyone hide.
And honestly, footballers are like robots. And if you can't pass the ball 10 yards to a teammate, if you can't put in a tackle, if you can't go and head the ball without actually looking at the ball, and you shy away from it and it hits your shoulder, right? If you can't track your man back, if you can't see where your man is to get close to him, if you can't attack the ball before it bounces, that those players are getting paid quite handsomely. And I can understand people's frustrations, I'm afraid. I can understand it. And as I say, some people choose to sing a load of old rubbish. I mean, in the old days, Colin, right, in the Rainmen, if Gillingham didn't play very well, the chance of what a load of rubbish would be ringing out. So it's not a new thing, it's just different wording.
Yeah.
And it's harsher wording now compared to what it was back in the day. And I'm afraid that footballers have got to take a good hard long look at themselves. They're getting paid good money. Some of them players are on 2, 3, 4 grand a week. Right? And if you can't go out there and give your all, if you can't go out there and pass the ball, and you can't go out there and tackle, and you can't go out there and head, why are you there? Why is that manager picking that player? Why are we picking a formation when nobody knows what the hell they're doing? I mean, you take Saturday against Fleetwood, Palmer Holden and Howell as the two up top against Fleetwood started to gel come near the end, right? And then what did we do last night? We put Sebo out wide on the wing, and we played Howell up front on his own. We lobbed the ball up to Howell. He's never going to win a header. He's only 5'9", right? He's never going to win a header. It meant that he had no one near him. Now, he's not the sort of player that holds the ball up. He's the sort of player that turns and wants to go for goal.
Yeah.
He's not that type of player. So you have to question the tactics. And I think last night was probably a time when, Gareth got a bit of stick. But you know what? The team form that he put out I don't think it was good enough. And I think the tactics weren't good enough. And I'm beginning to wonder what's going on. Just like I am with the rest of the club. From the top down, right? What is actually going on? Do we need Brad and Shannon to get over here, PDQ, right, and start looking at what mess this football club's in and where we're going? And do they need to appoint someone to have a really good overview of the football club, someone who knows what they're doing? Someone like Paul Fisher. Now, I know Paul Fisher's not going to take the job again, even if it was offered him, right? But we need somebody like Fish to come in and start sorting the wheat from the chaff.
Yeah.
We've moaned about recruitment for 3 years, right? Yes, the manager has a say in that. The manager has a say in that.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, it's between them. And if you're signing players on 2, 3, I've heard that Hutton's got another year today.
Yeah, he has.
My God.
So's Josh Andrews, by the way.
Yeah, who gave those players that length of contract? Who in their right mind would?
Yeah.
I don't get it, especially at League 2 level.
Yeah.
Right? You give people a year, if not 2 at the most, if they're an outstanding player. But I look at our injury list, right? How many of them are hiding? Our senior pros, how many are they hiding? Right? Behind a bit of an injury. Because leaders and proper men will go out and play, and they have done over the course of history.
Yeah.
They will go out and put their bodies on the line to help their teammates. I can't see this lot doing it.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily think it's that. I think the modern day, and I'll go with you on this, Ollie. Sorry to interrupt, Warren. But the modern day, I think you've got to be so careful because you're such a fine-tuned athlete to that respect where you have to, not saying yourself, obviously.
I am a finely tuned athlete.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, they are so finely tuned and they're so well looked after that you do have to every little niggle now. Whereas back in Warren and Collins' day, greatest respect intended to you both, you could just play through it. Whereas now they're actual professional athletes. They have to, be a little bit more careful, mate, don't they?
But we're treating these people like they're some sort of something from out of this world, right? We bubble wrap them. We wrap them in cotton wool. We wipe their bums and put a little talcum powder on it afterwards, right?
But that's what we want. We want them to be out of this world, though, don't we? As supporters,
they're not going to be until you go back to men being men. And these ain't men out there.
Yeah, well, we spoke about this the other day, Warren. Sorry, Ollie, I will get to you in a minute with that. But me and Warren spoke about this the other day, and I was speaking to a couple of ex-players, obviously, back in the 90s, early 2000s, and they were saying, like, a lot of these players these days probably would get eaten up and chewed up and spat out in the dressing room because, back then it was like, we care about the club, even though we're now not playing, we still care about the club. And in that dressing room, it was men with men, do you know what I mean? Rather than, no one could hide. No one could hide from it. But, right, so I'm just going to go with you, Ollie, and about this being wrapped in cotton wool. They are fine-tuned athletes or whatever we want to say these days. Do you think that is why, like, the tiniest little niggle now that they're kept out?
I played devil's advocate on it, not based on my own opinion, but I wonder if, because football has changed so much and it is more of like an athletic sport and they're running more and they're more sharply turning, I wonder if, maybe those older players, I'm talking 20, 30, 40 years ago, would be able to cope in today's game because the game is just completely different. I wonder if that is also an interesting way to look at it. I completely agree with Warren as well. I do think maybe they are a little bit too cotton-wooled, but then football is different. One thing I did want to talk about was that we do have, and I know a lot of clubs do, we have a concerning amount of injuries over the past 2 or 3 years. And I don't know whether, I think Lee Clifton spoke about it, about the fact that what we're training on isn't working, or somewhere in the sports science department, there is a lot of injuries going wrong. And we're picking players up who are getting injuries straight away. Now, I know Cameron Antwi's one was probably an impact injury. There's not much you can do about that.
Yeah.
signing Andrews and he was injured. It's been going on for quite a while, and we do have an extensive injury list that I keep thinking, why? You know, other clubs have them as well. I do appreciate that, but ours does seem to be exaggerated numbers-wise.
Yeah. No, I get that. I get that.
Because players are hiding.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know
How
if
can
they...
you prove an injury?
Well, it depends on the injury, obviously, for starters.
But how can you prove an injury? If I go to work and say I've got a bad back, how can they prove it?
Yeah, well, you're 60
Are
years
they
old.
3 weeks off? I've got a bad back.
And they do have the tools nowadays to prove whether or not, you know, they have a lot of equipment that can see whether you're injured. They have stuff like that.
But how comes all of our senior pros, right? Little, McKenzie, Beckles, whatever. How comes they're all injured at the same time?
Yeah, no, it's an interesting. I wonder if it is just a coincidence, or I don't know. But I hear what you're saying. I know what you're saying. I do think that football is now literally a completely different sport in some aspects, and I think because it is so much more based on athleticism, there is just more likely to be more injuries. I mean, the rate of ACL injuries, you know, funny enough, is staggeringly higher than they used to be.
So I'll put a question to you, Ollie.
Yeah.
What athleticism did you see from our players last night?
I'm talking. I will answer that. I'm talking about athleticism relative to how athletic the game used to be, perhaps.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying, Ollie. I was playing a bit of devil's advocate.
I saw it was the MK Dons.
Yeah.
But honestly, I just think, imagine our squad, right? I'll put a question to all three of you. Imagine our squad. We got rid of Gareth. We decided that Gareth's not the man, whatever, and I hope we don't. I hope he gets given the opportunity this summer to prove whether he's the right man or not. But imagine that squad now with Tony Pulis and Tony Parsons going into that dressing room. They're the new management team.
I will answer that. I'll answer that. And I think I've never experienced Tony Pulis, by the way. There's an interesting point. I actually never experienced it. I don't think it would work anymore. I don't think players and people in this generation, are like that. I don't think that hairdryer method works anymore. I think players do just shy away. I think it's changed maybe as a generational thing. I think you can probably see that from the amount of those type of managers that are still in the game now. There's not many of them. I think if you had a Tony Pulis type character, they'd all just stop playing. I don't think you'd get the same response as you would maybe 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, I agree to a point. So I'll go to you, Colin, right? How do we motivate today's players? Go out on that pitch to win headers, to pass the ball 10 yards. And
Gillingham players?
Yeah, any player of today's ilk.
Well, some get motivated by money more than anything else. It's a short career, and that would motivate me. But if you look at the Gillingham players, they are what they are. I think most of them. You know, if you was a Premier League team, you wouldn't go looking in Division 2 for your new centre half because your old one's got an injury, and that's what they've been trying to do. And I say I can't quantify trying an effort because I saw the players certainly on Saturday. They spent the majority of the game without the ball. They didn't have their best side out. They was overrun, and they come off with a point and nearly won, which they wouldn't have deserved to. And I just don't see it all comes down with the quality of the player you've got. You know, what's the old saying of making a silk purse out of a sow's ear? You know, we've been trying. Every now and again, we pump a little bit of money, we buy Hale. But in the same instant that we buy Hale, we buy, and I say I don't want to pick Hale, but we buy a 36-year-old centre half, and who's now injured as part of a 2-year plan. We buy a player who's unproven, but at 24 has played 70 league games. So why, in one instance, would you go out and pump money on a big centre forward, and then bring in players that you're umming and ahhing about? Might do it, he might not, and if he doesn't, you're then lumbered with him, because I'm sure Antwi's got a minimum of a 1.5 year contract, if not 2.5 years, and Beckles at the age of 36 has got at least a 1.5 year contract, I would have thought. It's constantly the quality of players. If you could buy the best goalkeeper in the world, but if you put 2 National League centre halves in front of him, he's going to concede goals. That's an extreme example, sorry, but that's the point I'm trying to get over. It's all about quality, and that's why I won't have a go at these players, because they're playing at their level, the majority of them.
Yeah. I don't think so. I think they're playing well above their level.
Well, okay, if they're playing above their level, you can't criticise them for joining a. You know, if someone come in and offer and said, "Oh, we'll take Hutton off you with the Championship side, we'll take Hutton off you," Hutton's not going to turn. If they, you know, like Wiley's come up from whatever level it was, he's not going to turn the transfer down. A 36-year-old at Orient's not going to turn down a 1.5 year contract.
Beckles is 34, by the way. You're aging him by 2 years.
Oh, Beckles.
Beckles is 34.
Tomorrow's my 51st birthday, then.
Yeah. So I'll come to you, Chris. Right? You've probably played football when you was a youngster, and you're probably one of the youngest. I know Ollie's played it and whatever, but you played fairly high level. What motivated you?
Myself. I was just I think it's probably a different era now, isn't it? No disrespect to the youngsters, Ollie, yourself included, but when we were growing up, it was, you know, your manager would give you absolute pelters on a weekly basis to motivate you. It was still kind of that era. Not how it was when you guys were younger, but it still was there. And, you know, like I said to you the other day, like, for me, players walking past the ground before a game, you know, I was in the zone an hour or two before the game. I didn't want anyone speaking to me. I was in that dressing room, and that was my responsibility to be the captain on that pitch. So that was, for me, I motivated myself, as well as the manager ripping 10 bales of whatever out of us when we weren't doing well. That motivated me. I can understand why it wouldn't motivate some players. I can understand it because everyone is different. But for me, yeah, motivation was 100% on me.
So why do you think these players can't get motivated? So they weren't motivated last night.
But you get to a certain point, don't you, where you're earning money, although it can motivate you, it can also have the adverse effect as well. The reverse effect, where it's like, when I'm earning money, I don't really give a shit what people think, you know, and you can get into that mindset as well. For me, I can't ever say that I attest to playing at a level where I was earning £3,000, £4,000, £5,000 a week. So I can't say what I would have done had I had been there. But at the same time, you know, money, although it can motivate you, it can also turn around and be like, well, I'm earning that, I'm on a good contract, I don't really give a shit anymore. It could do that.
I think this is the biggest problem with today's football, is that there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
Right, and I think that you look at teams like MK Dons. I didn't think they were that great. I didn't think that was the best side that I've seen down at Gillingham this year. Absolutely not. Up there, yeah. I didn't think that was the best side I've ever seen.
I wonder if I've just, now you've been speaking, I'm thinking about Andy Woodman at Bromley and how he's been there for 5 years, and then I'm thinking about like Mark White at Dorking and the type of players that they bring in. I don't know if you guys watch that Bunch of Amateurs series, but they're a lot more astute in bringing in players that will fit into the culture of the side. Now, I'm hoping once I get back from my ACL injury, I'm going to go back and play for Little Common, who play same sort of level as Kent League, sort of, you know, Hollands and Blair, things like that. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I enjoyed playing for Little Common and when I played at Hastings United was because I loved playing for that club and the culture that was in that club. And that's why I think Gareth Ainsworth needs time, because he still has a good percentage of players that aren't probably his, that he would bring in, the type of players that he would bring in. And I'm thinking now that, you know, you look at clubs like Bromley, and maybe those players aren't players that may be motivated now because they're bringing in and searching out, doing their due diligence to find those players who are self-motivated and want to play for the club they're at. Because I can think, you know, and I would speculate, I can think of a few players in that Gill side. I don't think they care about Gillingham. I don't think they care about playing for maybe Gareth Ainsworth's Gillingham. And that's why he does need time. There is still the questions of the tactics that are going on at the moment. I know a lot of people are unhappy with, but I just think about some of the good sides that are, you know, like John Coleman when he's at Accrington, for example, there for a while and making an environment that players actually want to be in. Don't know, get out there.
Right. Cheers, guys.
Bit of a going off the piece there a little bit.
Do you want me to go on to takeaways, Chris?
Yeah, go on, mate. Yeah, go for it.
So, the first one, I weren't there. I think I'd gone by the time Hell came on. Hell looking unhappy. So, enlighten me, Chris.
Yeah, so from what I could see, obviously, before he was brought off, I think it's been a frustration over the last couple of weeks where, you know, you can see that he's trying to make things happen. He's not getting the service to make things happen. And he was just getting a little bit frustrated last night. I appreciate he was on the yellow card, but then Gareth brought him off and he didn't look at all happy about it. It worries me a little bit because we've only just brought him in. You know, there was obviously interest from higher up. I just it worries me that if we're not going to give him the service at the end of the season, I'm hoping that we've given him certain assurances for next season for him to remain, because he may, you know, start looking higher up or elsewhere. If he's not going to get the service, he's clearly a very, very good player. I just worry that we're either using him wrongly. Actually, no, scrap that. I don't think we're using him in the incorrect way. I think we're using him in the correct way, but what's around him isn't working, and he's not getting the service for the ability that he has. So yeah, he looks really unhappy when he got subbed off. I appreciate why he got subbed off. The game was gone, and he was getting wound up. So yeah, I understand it, but at the same time, I don't understand why we can't get the ball to him.
Ollie, what was your take on Hell's attitude last night?
Yeah, he just looked really frustrated, didn't he? Again, I echo what Chris said. I can completely understand the reason why they took him off. Made complete sense to me. It's difficult because I don't want to judge him based on that team that we had last night as well, because obviously it's not our best side. But the type of football Gareth Ainsworth plays, and in his history of what clubs he's been at, it does worry me a little bit whether or not that is suited to him. Like Chris says, I do hope that he's been given the assurances that next season he'll have better players around him. But just put the ball on the floor for him. Do you know, he's just give him the ball at his feet.
Yeah.
So it's not as simple as that. And MK Don's a very good side. And if I knew the answer to it, I probably wouldn't, you know, I'd be in a coaching role or something. But it seems obvious to me that we got to stop lumping the ball up to him.
But then we did, Ollie. Sorry, I'll interrupt there. Sorry, Warren. I'll interject a minute. But we saw it in the first half where Aaron Rowe had the ball in the centre circle, and he actually passed a really nice ball through to him. But the referee, being the League Two referee that he is, has called it up and not played the advantage. So you know, that kind of thing, that kind of ball is what Hale will thrive off. Not lumping it over top, not off the man's shot. He will thrive off of that through the middle, playing through the lines, getting it to his feet, and then running onto it.
And he needs Bradley Dack or a Bradley Dack type player.
Yeah.
Do that, but then equally we got the situation where we keep lumping it over Bradley Dack's head as well when he's on the pitch. So yeah.
So I'll come to you, Colin. Do you think that Roland Hale can play up front on his own, or do you think he needs somebody alongside him?
I think having two up front is a help for everyone. It's a help for the crowd. It gives them a boost. Hale playing up front on his own, from what I've seen, I don't think he is that type of player. With these, you've seen the teams that have come in the last few weeks. Some like Oldham looked huge. And Hales is such a small player. It's very difficult for him to get the ball, hold it, and wait for support. I would prefer him playing a 2 up front, but then it also depends the formation behind him. And we saw against Fleetwood when we started with 3 at the back and 2 wing backs. We got overrun in midfield. The wing backs became full backs, and then we were stuck with 3 players in midfield with 5 defending. We couldn't get hold of the ball. So for the first time, from when I can remember, we had 2 players isolated up front instead of the normal one. He needs help up front, and he also needs better players to feed him better passes. We saw the difference. Palmer Holden's goal against Fleetwood, through ball. They're the balls that those 2 players will thrive on. It's not the long ball to head or chest. It's not a ball along the ground from the defence to them. It's through balls that they can chase, but they need to have the players who are good enough to play them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Colin, I'll just ask you one more question on this. You'll remember Wallace and Johnson up front.
Yeah.
Who were diminutive in size.
Right, I'll be 2 seconds, guys. Girls are calling me. 1 sec.
And it didn't really work. Do you think the same could be said of Howe and Palmer Holden?
There's a chance it might not work in the long run, but I think with Johnson and Wallace, they were both, I was going to say over the hill, that's a bit harsh, but they were past their best. They were on their way to football retirement when they come to Gillingham. I prefer seeing the likes of players like Hale, Palmer Holden up front. It's, to me, I've had enough of the big guys up front who do little for the side. And yeah, it's the way forward.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm quite happy with playing SPH and Hale up front if we've got players that can actually pass the ball into them, because both players are very good at turning and going towards goal. What they're not good at is holding the ball up. Now, if we're going to continually lump it from the back, I think they become very ineffective because the ball just comes back at us, right? And then that's where I think that a big man should play alongside either or either of Howe and Seb Palmer Holden. I've been impressed with Palmer Holden the last couple of weeks, and I've given him pelters on the show because I haven't, up till now, I haven't thought he was very good. But over the last couple of games, I think he's proven that he knows where the goal is. Jury's still out for me on Hell as to whether he's a good player or not. I still don't know. He had that one game where he scored 2 goals, but in the rest of the games, when has he actually looked like scoring? And there's not that many, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, the pressure, he's only had one game where he scored out of 7 or 8 games now at least, and the pressure will be building on him. And that might be something to do with the way he's looking at the moment. Obviously, the team losing fairly heavily on a frequent basis isn't going to help anyone's mindset.
The only good thing I can say over him coming off angry and not being happy at being substituted is at least you know he cared one way or the other.
Yeah.
Right? At least he gave a shit. The rest of them, when they came off.
Yeah, you've got to remember he will be under pressure because he knows why he's been purchased by the club. And it's down on to him now to score goals, and that's why he's there. And if he's not, hopefully something will be done in the summer to get some better quality to help him.
So I'll go on to the Luxton debut. Unfortunately, I'd left the ground by the time he came on. So I'm going to have to be reliant on you three to give me an assessment of what you saw and first impressions. So I'll go with you, Ollie, please, first.
I was hobbling down the stairs to get the last train, so I missed it.
Oh, well, this is a rubbish topic, isn't it?
Sorry. Yeah. Apologies. I think it's brilliant, by the way. I think it's fantastic. And the fact that he's been sent on in a real baptism of fire and in a situation really sour, If he did do all right, then fair play to him, because that's tough.
Yeah.
Chris, I can't
Yeah,
hear what was your...
I do want to just quickly touch on what Colin was talking about with Hale before I go into that. Like, you got to think that Hale's come in, and his granddad passed away as well, so he's probably got a few issues going on there as well. You can only do the best job as a forward man. If you're not getting supplied with balls, I don't care who you are or how good you are. I don't care if you're Cristiano Ronaldo. You're not making any chances. You're not getting that supply. You're not going to make chances. So I really do think that he's going to come good, but we do need to get a midfield.
I definitely wasn't being critical of him.
Oh no! I appreciate that, but I just think I think that the way that he's coming, he's only scored 2 goals. There is pressure on him to a degree, but I think that as I alluded to earlier, I do think that there's probably somewhere there where the club have gone. You know, look, we appreciate that we're not going to have that supply for you at the moment, but we've got you in January so that next season we can kick on and you will have that supply. As I say, he's not going to be able to do it on his own. And yeah, so anyway, back to Luxton. I think I sat there and I did say at the time that I thought it was a little bit of a brave move bringing him on, considering the atmosphere in the ground. Certain sections of the Rainham end were being, well, childish, to say the least. And yeah, it was a difficult time for him to come on. We always talk about, you know, maybe killing people's confidence by bringing them on in that kind of atmosphere, but he held his own for a bit. I think it's good. I would have brought Louis on as well, personally. And I want to just quickly touch on this because obviously we've got so many players out injured at the moment. I wouldn't be adverse to having 3, maybe 4 of them on at the weekend. We're not going up, we're not going down. Like, and the crowd might actually get behind them if, you know, they're young lads that are actually trying to do something for the club. And they probably would, going on last night, show a lot more passion than the people that were actually on the field.
Yeah.
There
is something to that, but unfortunately when you're in a situation that we're in, I find it very difficult to put youngsters in, especially when there's a volatile atmosphere. So I'll come to you, Colin. What do you think of Luxton's technical ability? Because as I say, I want to know because I didn't see it.
He didn't touch the ball that often, and to be quite honest, he should never have been brought on. I thought it was poor man management to bring a kid like that on at that time during that type of game. I thought it was shocking. And I think that man management decision was as bad as taking Akamir off on 46 minutes against Oldham. I thought it was shocking. He should never have been brought on. Never. And the fact that him and, is it Dale, who was the other one?
Yeah.
They were at Sheppey United last weekend.
Yeah.
Sheppey United are 4 levels below Gillingham, which is a bigger distance than Gillingham are to the Premier League.
Yeah.
And if they're being loaned out to Sheppey United, they should be nowhere near a League Two's starting lineup or even on the bench, to be honest. I thought it was a shocking decision to bring him on.
Yeah, that's quite a good point, actually, though, Colin. I raised that actually because I didn't even think about it until you just mentioned it. We've got young players within this whole setup that have been in and around the first team a lot more this season than Michael Luxton and Louis Dale. You've got the likes of Cruz Besant, who's actually played first team football for us. Okay, not very much, but he has actually played. I don't know what the situation is around injuries and stuff like that, but yeah, it's a little bit throwing Luxton straight in that was just a little bit.
Yeah, it's 4. We've seen with what's his name, the guy that come from Enfield, who's at Ebbsfleet now, Marcus Wiley.
Yeah,
he jumped 3 divisions, and he was a top player in the league he was in, and he hasn't jumped. And I think I don't know how old Luxton is. He can only be 18 or 19. It just wasn't right for me to bring him on in that type of atmosphere. I don't know what it. Yeah, it. And I haven't been to a youth game. I've seen both of the Virtue Trophy games against Fulham and Wycombe Wanderers.
Yeah.
And I must admit, I didn't see any of the youth team that look capable of playing in League Two football at the moment.
Yeah.
So I would shy away. If you're going to give them 5 or 10 minutes, make it up at Barrow or somewhere like that. But not at the moment at Priestfield. It's too toxic for them, I'm afraid. That's my say on that.
Yeah, cheers, Colin. I'll go on to Gareth's press conference or presser after the game, and I'll ask, have you seen it, Ollie?
Yeah.
What did you think? What did you make of his press interview after the game?
Glad it wasn't identical to the other ones he talks about. I see what he says about the fans. I don't agree with singing "We Want Six." I don't think that's helpful. I'm glad that he explained that Hale come off for the yellow. He wasn't leaning definitively on injuries, but he did mention them a few times. I'll go back to what I said previously. I think what he's trying to do get across is that he's trying to build a culture and a culture first, and the quality isn't there. I think he handled it quite well. I think it could have gone a lot worse, and if there were certain buzzwords that if he had said, he'd have got a lot more backlash.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go to you, Colin. Did you see his press conference or his press interview after?
I've seen snippets of it here, there, and everywhere. I haven't actually sat through the conference as such. I've seen bits on social media. I'm trying to.
For the bits you saw, did you find anything positive in what he said?
Not really, because to be honest, I couldn't find anything positive in the performance. So I think he would have been just creating a falsehood. He's got to come out and speak to the cameras. He's got to try and make it different every week. But unfortunately, every week he's coming out to speak to the cameras. The results are fairly similar, or the performances are. So it's a difficult situation to spin for him, to be honest. Like I say, it becomes cliche ridden. And he's just occupying time. So I don't always see the point of a press conference after every game, because it becomes a lot of the same thing. I think we can see with our own eyes what's going on. Unless he's going to tell us something from behind the scenes, it's just, I don't really see the point of him, to be honest. And
I agree.
Situation that I saw him come off at half time, and you would have said from where you are, he looks a broken man at half time when he went off.
Well, I mean, one of the things that have started to irritate me about Gareth is when we was winning and we was on that great big run of 20 odd games without losing, Gareth was on the touchline cajoling, coaching, talking and whatever. Over the last month or so, I've noticed that he tends to have more arguments with the fourth official, the opposition's bench, and it's all become a bit irritating. Because when Gareth was at his best, I felt it was when he was really up and running, and I think he's lost it a bit.
It's pressure, isn't it?
Yeah, so I'll go to Chris with Gareth's presser. One of the things he said in his press conference was, I'm missing Beckles, I'm missing McKenzie, I'm missing Little and whatever. But we're still losing with those players in the side. So what difference do you think the players that were out injured would have made last night?
I don't think they would have done, personally. I outright say I don't really think that that's the issue. I just think that the collective aren't good enough. He spoke about our level being here, but then MK Don's level being here. That just goes to show to me that he knows what needs to be done in the summer. He knows that a lot of these players at this level need to go for us to get players at this level. I don't think that there would have been much difference last night at all, to be honest. I mean, we've been playing the same way for weeks, even when them players were in the squad. So I don't know there. I know when he walked out after half time, he's walking up to it and he's looked at the Medway stand. He's going, "Come on," like this, and I just sat there and looked at the bloke that I sit next to, Scott, and I was like, "Why is he doing that? His team aren't giving us anything to cheer about." Like, you know, I think that he needs a break. I think that he needs to get to the end of the season, go on a couple of weeks holiday, leave everything football-wise alone, because he's gone through a major heart surgery. He's then come back as soon as he could, and I just don't think he's the same person at the moment. Get everything sorted out for next season, get the players that he wants to come in place, the players he wants to go out in place, and then just go and relax for a little bit, and then come back the manager that he was when he first come in. Because as it's been alluded to, he was jumping around on the touchline, he was shouting at everything, he wasn't arguing with the fourth official. I get why he's doing it, because the team aren't performing, so he needs an outlet. But yeah, I just think that he just needs to have a break, and blaming it on, yes, okay, it's unfortunate that these players are out, but do we really think that it would have been much different last night had they been in? I personally don't see it.
Right. So before we finish off, I see time's getting on, and I'd like to try and get on the hour, and we're going to go over a little bit over. I'd just like to ask each of you one question, right? And the question is what one thing would you change before the start of next season? And I'll go to you, Ollie.
Well, the majority of the players.
Whatever you think, just one thing, not loads of things, just one thing.
My biggest change would be a squad overhaul.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Cheers, Colin.
Recruitment.
Right. You think that needs to change?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%. And if I was Donald Trump, I'd say 15,000%. It needs to change.
Oh, God, so we know politics here, please, gentlemen.
Hey, Chris.
Recruitment leading to better players.
Yeah. For me, the one thing that I would like is for the Gallatons to come over and just strip the club away, take away down all the walls, and basically start again and get a whole new setup in place ready for the start of pre-season, rather than wait and carry on. Change is good sometimes, whether it be players, manager, director of football, head of operation, whatever. But change is good sometimes, and sometimes you need to have a fresh outlook on things to change things. And at the moment, it's the same. I can just see it being the same old. So I'll hand you back to Chris. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, cheers, mate. So we will just quickly, I apologise to everyone. There has been quite a few comments tonight, but we are over the hour, so I'm just going to quickly go through a look ahead. So obviously we play Cambridge at Abbey Stadium on Saturday, who have 1 drawn, 1 drawn, and we have lost, 1 drawn, lost. So Warren, this is always your favourite subject. I'll go with you first, mate, and your hopes and aspirations for Saturday.
I just don't. We don't get smashed, and I want the players to come out and prove to me. I've stood here and I've questioned their integrity tonight, right? And I've questioned their ability. What I would like is that team to prove to me that I haven't made a mistake in going up to Cambridge, spending my hard-up money, and putting in a performance. I don't care if we lose, right? If we get beat 3-0, I don't care. But as long as those players all put in a shift, they all work hard, they all want to do the best they can for the fans that are on the terracing, I'm happy with that. I'll clap them off, right? Yeah. If all 11 put everything into it. But when they don't do it, they don't deserve my clap. They don't deserve my support. They don't deserve me to stay at the end of the game. And if I get what I got Tuesday night, then I'll be back in a pub by half time.
We've been the tram depot, mate. So, Colin, I'll go with you. Your hopes and aspirations for Saturday.
A narrow defeat with lots of luck. Bad refereeing decisions going Gillingham's way. Anything. I don't want to see another hammering.
Yeah. And Ollie, yourself, mate.
Yeah, I hope he just picks a side that really battles, works hard, tries to, defensively solid. And I hope I don't want to see them whinging with each other as well. I hate that. I don't like when they start arguing. Embarrassing, especially when home fans think we're just no good, and I don't like that. Embarrassing.
Yeah, that's that kind of something that I picked up last night. I think it was Ewan Williams was having a go at Max Clark at one point, and yeah, they just wasn't great. But we will be there, I'm sure. We definitely will be there. We're going to, what is it? And if you need a local pub, it is the Tram Depot, which is, I think, is about 20-minute walk away from the ground, something like that. I will be there. I don't know what time. Anyway, I'm hoping that we, put on a performance. I know we've got injuries. I know it's an excuse that you can use to a degree. Don't think it would make much difference last night. I think that just MK Dons were just a hell of a lot better than us in every single department. But it would be nice just to go out there Saturday, and just have, some modicum of success, even if it's just score it, losing 2-1, but putting in a performance, as Warren said. Just something. Just give the fans something to cheer about. I'm not being funny. The amount of away games that we've been to this season, Barrow week before last, loads of games before that. Like the amount of miles that Gills fans put in. Like, just give us something. Like, just give us absolutely anything that we can have. That's that. Obviously, we are sponsored by Snodhurst Used Car Sales and Service Station and Wiki Creative, and in partnership with Her Game 2 and Sports Social Podcast Network, we will be doing, I think our Her Game 2 game is coming up at the end of the month, which is Bristol Rovers. So we will be doing, the show will be, yellow, white and black on that day. And we are looking for female fans. If you know anyone or you want to come on yourself, we are looking for a couple of female fans to come on and do that show. It would be either myself or David hosting, and then hopefully 3 female fans to do that show with us. But other than that, you can join us on the Facebook group at The View from Medway. Follow us on X at The View from Medway Fancast or at TVFTM. And subscribe to the YouTube channel at The View from Medway Fancast, all of which are free. So before we go, boys, any other business? And I'll start with you, Colin.
No, just keep your chins up, everyone. It will get better, I'm sure.
There we go. And Ollie, yourself?
Yeah, nothing in particular. Just looking forward to seeing you all Saturday.
Perfect. Thank you, mate. And Warren, yourself, you delusioned, grumpy old git.
Disillusion.
Oh, disillusion. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not Houdini. Honestly, I just want the players to care about putting on a shirt, care about putting in a performance, care about their fellow teammates, care about the manager, right? Because at the end of the day, if things continue as they are, I can see the Gallinsons running out of patience with Gareth, and I don't want that to happen. I mean, bearing in mind that Harris, Clements, and Bonner all got sacked for a lot less. I just want the players to care. I want some of those injured to step up and say, you know what, Gaffer, I think I can get through 70 minutes for you, or I can do a half hour for you, right? I want them to step up. And I want the fans that go into Cambridge, get behind the team, right? If we put in another shocking performance, wait till the end of the game to voice your opinion, right? Don't do it during the game because it doesn't help anybody. Yeah. But I just hope that all those fans that are going, go with your mates, go and have a drink, go and have a good laugh, right? Hopefully not the team. Have a good laugh, have a good time, stay safe, getting there, getting home. Stay safe, and just remember, it's not all about the football. It's all about the social side as well.
Yeah, 100%. 100% agree with that. We will be back next Monday. Panel yet to be decided. Apologies for Monday just gone, but a bit of a sickness bug, so I couldn't have sat at the computer for longer than 2 minutes. Didn't touch on Fleetwood too much this evening, but we will be back to review the Cambridge game. So I've been Chris, he's been Warren, he's been Colin, he's been Ollie. Good night, and up the Jills.
The view from the Medway.